Hey guys, so I just want to do a quick video. If this is your first time wearing a pair of JK boots or custom boots at all, what to expect and what you should feel when you get them. So just to go right off the bat, this is an entirely different level of boot. This is not a mass-produced boot. There's no carton or thin mesh, vinyl material in these things. This is heavy-duty leather. This is thick material. It's incredibly high quality, and they're handmade. So this is just like this is a whole nother level of footwear. A lot of times people will spend their whole lives in maybe cheaper footwear, and they'll put on a pair of these boots and they expect them to feel the same. Very wrong mentality right away. So the first thing you need to understand is because it's such a thicker material, there's gonna be a bit of a difference of feel. They're gonna feel maybe a little stiffer, maybe a little bit heavier, and maybe just a little bit more heavy duty in general. So there's gonna be a little bit of you gotta get a little bit adjusted to them, a little bit comfortable with the boots. They're not gonna be this light, super easy, Nike fabric material. This is a whole other level of material. So that's the first thing off the bat right away. A couple things about size, like length and width. So typically there's a kind of rule of thumb that we like to use, and there should be about a thumb width, less than a thumb width, definitely not more than a thumb width, but about a thumb width of space between your toe and the end of the boot on the inside of the boot. Sometimes people will get their boots for the first time and then they'll call me and they'll say, oh man, I feel like my boots are way too long, because they're used to wearing other footwear where their toe's like literally right up against the end. So that would be a really bad thing if your toe was right up against the end, because as you wear these boots, the arches will settle and the toes will curl up slightly. And so we account for that ahead of time. And that's why we have that thumb width there right now. Also, just think practically, logically, if you're hiking or doing any kind of hard work, going downhill, all this stuff, you want there to be a little bit of buffer room, because you don't want your toe jamming right up against the end. Now, 2 thumb widths or something like that is way too long. 3 thumb widths way too long. If they just feel insanely big and long in the toe, something's wrong, give us a call. That rarely happens, but let us know and we can kind of take care of that. Another thing too, in general, is sometimes people will comment just about the arch and the heel height, and they'll just say sometimes, man, the boots just feel so like maybe like stiff, or just like different, or just like hard in general. Well, you're standing on a 9-iron leather insole, oak tan leather insole. That thing is gonna last for years, and it's tough. And so you gotta kind of wear it in a little bit. You gotta kind of let your feet leave some imprints on there. So the first day or two might be a little tough, but by no means do we say that our boots take 2 weeks or 3 weeks to break in, not even close. Really, realistically, what I say is little to no break in. That means a day, 2 or 3 max, and the boots should be feeling great. To be honest, most of the time we hear people call us and say, man, there was almost no break, and I put the boots on right away and they just felt great. Another thing too that I like to address is the uppers, so the portion that wraps around your calf. A lot of times, sometimes for one person, a particular size, there might be like, an 1.5 inch gap on the uppers. For another person, it might be like 2.5 inches of a gap there on the uppers. There is no technical amount. One bootmaker might say one thing, another bootmaker may say another thing. What we like to shoot for is just for them absolutely not to touch. And the second thing would be for them to not be absurdly wide. So I like to say between 1 to 2 inches, 2.5 inches of a gap there. Sometimes a good kind of rule of thumb is like 2 finger widths, maybe even 3 sometimes, is okay. It's not a problem, as long as they're not overlapping and touching, because then they wouldn't secure your calf correctly. So that's just kind of a good little quick rule of thumb. So that's what you should expect when you get your boots. Definitely oil them. They should fit great. They should feel great. If you're never had a tough boot before like this, there might be a bit of an adjustment to it, but it shouldn't be this, gruesome, crazy, tough experience and you're getting blister after blister after blister. Something's wrong, okay? Something's wrong if that's what's happening. If you had that experience with other boots and it took you 6 weeks to break them in, something was wrong, okay? So that's the kind of a little bit thing what to expect for first-time boot owners. Kind of need to tough it up a little bit sometimes, especially if you've never had boots like this before, you've never been accustomed to this kind of thing before. You just kind of got to man it up or woman it up and just get it in there, get it done, wear them in, they'll break in quickly. You just got to kind of trust the process. We're pretty good at what we do with sizing. I would actually say really good. So rarely do we make mistakes on sizing or things like that. So 9 times out of 10, if they feel different or a little bit off, it's probably just because you got to put some time in them. You got to kind of wear them in. You got to kind of run them through the ringer. So just thought we'd give that out as a disclaimer. Enjoy your boots. They're going to be great. Love them, oil them, take care of them, and wear them. Thanks.